I'm just telling people, like I said, if you want to experience this higher consciousness, you can start taking those steps right now. And it doesn't have to happen in this download, one-time experience. It could be your daily life.
So I've been feeling really called lately to talk specifically about psychoactive drugs like LSD, mushrooms, and ayahuasca. And then just recently, something else coming up where you actually lick a toad in some sort of shaman ceremony. I don't want to speak just specifically from my behalf because I don't have any experience of taking psychoactive drugs. I've never taken LSD or any of these other types of substances. However, I know many people that have, and I've heard some really incredible stories. They've seen Lord Shiva sitting in Mount Kailash, or they've experienced something just extremely profound, like the Sri Chakra in everything that exists. And I think those are really cool experiences to have. However, what's the result of it? How is it affecting you? And so in this video, I brought on my good friend Robert from the Infinite Cup, and we discussed whether or not ayahuasca and all these other hallucinogenic drugs have their place. I'm sure if you're on the fence of whether you should take ayahuasca or any of these other substances or not, Robert's got some incredible things to share, and he's got an awesome channel that you could check out too. Now, if you've been following my channel, you know I'm a disciple of Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam, and I've had a number of incredible experiences that have all come naturally to me just from the grace of Guru. And so that's what I constantly promote on this channel, Guru, Guru, Guru. And so if you really want to have an extremely powerful, enlightening experience naturally, go to the enlightened masters, go to the enlightened avatars, and you will definitely have that experience. That is my own Sakshi Pramana, my own experience. And if you want to do that, I highly recommend checking out paramashivoham.org. It is a completely online program conducted via Zoom where you can experience that entanglement, the Shaktipada it's called, with the enlightened master, and experience third eye, Kundalini awakening, and everything in between that and enlightenment itself. So I highly recommend checking out that before going any further. And so with that, let's dive into this interview that I had with Robert from the Infinite Cup. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys in future videos. We had a conversation last week. Was it last week we talked?
Yeah. Yes.
Last week. Mm-hmm. And it was a good one. Like, you really talked about your background and your experience and how you evolved spiritually and your use of hallucinogens and how that's affected you. And then, as I just mentioned off camera, in between that interview and today, I come across a guy named Connor Murphy. And if you don't know who Connor Murphy is, just a ladies' man, and on YouTube he's done a good job in spreading this ideology of being a ladies' man and picking up girls and whatnot. And I think he has like 2 million subscribers. And I remember coming across him like 3-4 years ago. And but I came across him after our conversation, and he was talking about he had this ayahuasca experience, and literally everything he was talking about now was about meditation, spirituality. And I just thought that was too interesting. And I wanted to really keep going with this thread that we had opened up on your channel, talking about the use of psychedelics and how, they can impact you in maybe a positive, maybe in a negative way. And so I was maybe wondering if you could open up a little bit more about your story and your journey through that.
Yeah, definitely. This is something, I think we all get, caught in that hook as far as the fantasy and just the mystery and the mysticism and the beauty that lies beyond our human body. And this was something in the beginning, gosh, I'm trying to remember the first time. I think I was, 17 or 18 years old, just getting out of high school, going more into college and things. And it was very normal in like the party scene, and people were doing mushrooms and MDMA. Sorry about that. MDMA and other things as a normal, just kind of party drug and party thing. And that's how it all started for me. And then it wasn't, let's see, maybe 2 or 3 doses, trips and parties. And before you know it, I find myself having a real spiritual experience in the middle of just, a few of my homies hanging out. And all of a sudden I'm going down the rabbit hole, and experiencing a lot of emotions and things coming up that I wasn't really prepared for in that party like setting, you know. So of course that's how the introduction happened for me, and then slowly basically getting tired of that roller coaster and the up and down effect that comes with psychedelics, that comes with any plant medicine, or comes with anything outside of the body, using it a tool for higher consciousness. And that's what dove me more towards yoga in general, and finding those answers there to really figure out what I was experiencing then. And a few years, you know, later, fast forward 5 years, and all of a sudden I'm having experiences way beyond anything that I was experiencing during those psychedelic times. And now I'm just grateful looking back at everything and how it has all kind of interwoven into my life. And I really feel just a calling to kind of help demystify just yoga in general and meditation, and as well as plant medicine with psychedelics, because they are not what people think they are, and they can be used for both the light and the dark. And this information just needs to get out there.
I think that's so cool that so I mentioned this on your channel. I've never actually taken any psychedelics, and I compared them almost to using steroids in a sense.
Yeah.
And I think it's so cool though that naturally you said that you had more powerful and greater experiences than when you were taking psychedelics or when you did try psychedelics.
Yeah.
And it's not like that with steroids. So obviously there's a big difference there. And so I think that's awesome. And I think that's really important for people that are interested in taking psychedelics because they want that powerful spiritual experience. But if they just stick to the sadhana, to the important spiritual practices that can lead them down that route, you're saying that you can have that experience. I think that's awesome. I was wondering, maybe you could elaborate a little bit on, like you said, the highs and lows of using psychedelics. Yeah. So if somebody were to take something like ayahuasca or mushrooms, what is it that they're going to experience in that time?
Well, the thing is, it's coming back to energy and just our simple nervous system for the human body. And when you're under plant medicine, mushrooms, ayahuasca, this expansion happens, and it goes beyond what the nervous system is normally experiencing on the day-to-day life. So that's what I mean by the roller coaster. We all get kind of trapped. I think the common American social accepted one is alcohol, right? Or caffeine, or coffee, right? We all kind of get used to those feelings that give us this high, you know, and the ultimate high that goes beyond your body and goes into this outer body experience. And it's because of our current conditioning on the planet. You know, we all have some sort of unhappiness, some sort of trauma that we're dealing with. And this, you know, practice, this psychedelic work really expands that and speeds up that process and brings those emotions to the surface very quickly. So for me, it was something that I didn't know was happening at first until I got more educated on exactly what was happening in the biology. So the roller coaster effect exactly is just that. It's that term too, chasing the dragon, right? You keep chasing that high and getting caught in that wheel of just that experience itself. And that's what I see happening more than the purification, which is the exact process of what the plant medicine is doing in the first place and what yoga is doing. The thing is, there's a big difference in the two, and I think they just get confused a lot. And a lot of people just need to understand that the real sadhana, the spiritual practice, yes, is that purification of your soul, of your being. That's the work that we're all doing. And people that are getting into that work through plant medicine, I don't think they're exactly ready, to do that work, and they don't have the prior techniques such as meditation or even a clean body to handle that energy, that massive amount of energy that is surging through the nervous system.
I think that's a really good point. The clean body and the detoxification process that just needs to happen. It needs to, you need to make sure that your body is prepared, your nervous system is prepared to hold that energy. You really can damage yourself if you're not doing that. And so that's another really good point. So if somebody, hypothetically, like if I came across Connor Murphy and I've been following him and I've been somebody that's like, loving his t-shirt gig, like getting ripped off and all that, he's, picking up girls, all that stuff. I'm a big fan of his. I'm a follower. And then he starts talking about meditation and starts talking about ayahuasca and starts preaching it a little bit. What would you say to that individual that starts to get that inclination of, I think I want to try this, I want to do this? Because you and I are both in the same position where we both understand the importance of going through it naturally and I think a lot of people, especially a younger community that he has that younger audience, might need to hear something that could steer them in the direction.
It's so tricky, especially with someone like Conor Murphy, basically because he's adhering to the American fantasy of just the shallow mentality and the commercialism and everything that represents America, is kind of what Conor Murphy's wrapped up into. And then to go, down the rabbit hole and to completely do a 180 in general, that's got to be shocking to his following and just the people that are watching his videos in general. And for us, it just has to give some sort of input as far as what's actually happening when you partake in these ceremonies, right? Because obviously if he's not making these videos about getting women and doing all these lower vibrational things anymore, then some sort of shift happened within his being that made him change his ways. Now, it's not up to us to judge whether that's bad or good. It's just up to us to notice that change, right? And be like, okay, well, something happened here, right? And this is a good thing for all of us to kind of witness, because for me, the way that I look at it is it's just the evolution of the soul, right? We are all here on this planet together, and we are having a very much a human experience, not a spiritual experience. So this is very temporary. And for me, especially with my own process, if I were to compare it to someone like Conor, like I was very toxic as well and shallow and, not a very conscious person at all. And these, ceremonies really awakened me up, to this higher vibration. At the same time, you can't really judge how it happens. I think all we can do is judge on the experience and the changes that the people are benefiting. I haven't watched Conor's videos or anything, but if he's really talking about, true meditation techniques and ways that are uplifting everybody, then awesome, great, I'm all for it. The problem is that still continues that we need to, clarify is people are not going to have this one big enlightenment experience, change their life overnight from any, plant medicine and even if they did, is it going to be something quote unquote good or, or positive that is going to uplift them or create more trauma or create more problems in their life? We just don't know, right? You just don't know until you actually go through that experience. So at the end of the day, I would just be a proponent for meditation, again, because there's no, risk involved as far as going to that other side. I don't think the reward is as great as the risk when we're going down that avenue versus simply talking about a much more dedicated path towards just having a healthy, clean body and experiencing this higher consciousness.
Yeah, there's definitely a past self for me that resonated with the old self of Conor Murphy and that, chasing women and whatnot. And I don't want to take there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, obviously there's some things that you could change, but the evolution of the soul, as you had mentioned, is a real thing for myself as it is him. And I think it's great what he's doing as far as educating with meditation and whatnot. And I have nothing but, encourage him to do that, especially now more than ever. And the fact that, he's made this 180 switch is just proof that it's 2020 as well, because we can all just shift in that snap of a finger without even knowing it. And the only thing I really just caution people on is really just to make sure that, I don't know if he's encouraging others to try ayahuasca or not, but if he is, then that's where I say, make sure that you take a step back and you reconsider your approach to your spiritual evolution as well.
Yeah, I agree. This started in the 90s, with Don Juan and the popularization of ayahuasca and all this stuff. And I could talk to you about all of this all day, and people don't really understand what they're getting into at all. And especially when it gets brought into America, this is a plant that comes from South America. And when you take plants that are not original to their country and bring them to another country, then we're talking about a whole nother line of energy and things that you just get into, let alone the shaman or the practitioner who's partaking and giving you this brew and what his karma is involved with and all the energy that's exchanged throughout everything and so on and so forth. Just as simple as when you're doing a little party drug or MDMA, that energy is being exchanged with those people in the room as well. It's the same thing, just really cranked up. So there's a lot of energy and a lot of things that people don't understand when it comes to this. And it's not just a quick fix or transformation. And yes, I think, it does sound very attractive to bring this into, the Western mind and just have this quick fix. I do think there is a place for it, and it is slowly intertwining with our world and kind of hopefully putting people less of a use on pharmaceuticals. That's kind of where I see it going forward, and more of like a like a doctor, maybe sit on the couch, tell me about why mommy didn't love you, what happened with daddy when you were younger, and then we'll kind of do the ceremony professionally. That's kind of where I see it happening in the future. And slowly people are paving the way for that, which is awesome, because there is definitely a lot of transformation that is happening. At the same time, though, we cannot guarantee anything, and I still think there's more risk than there is reward. So yes, I would pursue people into more of a meditation practice, and pursuing being vegan, cleaning up their diet, just simple things that they can do, which will dramatically help them on the long road compared to just this one ceremony or this one plant medicine.
Yeah, and I would say, speaking from my experience as well, I mentioned on your channel that I was literally like this close to trying ayahuasca. Yeah. And fortunately, divine intervention happened for me, and my guru literally entered into my life. And I was fortunate to have a powerful detoxification, complete cleansing of not just like physical toxins, but all the mental toxins, the engrams, the pain patterns within me, simply through a different technique and a natural technique, and something that it didn't need to come from anything external. And so for me, I'm such a proponent in experiencing it naturally and first going all in that direction, because I know right away if it worked for me. Like, I was a Connor Murphy type person, like I was the furthest thing away from spiritual, and then all of a sudden just completely pulled out this whole identity, this false self, and I've just elevated to this different state of consciousness because of the initiation from my guru and the program that I went and experienced. So for somebody that's brand new on their spiritual journey, maybe they are just a little bit interested in what Connor Murphy's saying, or rather than now, let's say they're steering away from psychedelic use. I think you and I would both agree that a consistent meditation practice is something that they could start. For somebody that's a beginner, you actually have a meditation CD, right?
I have a guided meditation CD. Yes, if someone wants to do like more of a guided meditation. And yeah, I mean, I completely agree with what you're saying. And I would tell people to go, to your local yoga class, start practicing yoga, start getting out there. What you're talking about with the engrams and just the emotional work and the purification is very real through yoga and this ancient science that has already given us the way to this, compared to this, brew or this mushroom or this thing that you don't know what is going to happen or who it came from and yada, yada, right? So I've experienced that same thing through yoga in a much more profound way than any plant medicine. And I will enforce that forever. And I've done a lot of different ceremonies and different things. And I see both sides of it. And I have no judgment. I'm just telling people that if you want to pursue this with clarity and confidence and have something that's going to stick with you for your lifetime and beyond this life, then yoga is the answer. I'll just tell a quick story, the last time where I've seen a major purification and energy upgrade right in my own presence was on my yoga teacher training. And we were all just doing the simple asana, maybe only 10 minutes into the poses, and the woman behind me just breaks down. Like, she starts crying out of nowhere, just hits the floor. We were just doing half moon, a very gentle pose. And all of a sudden she breaks down, crying uncontrollably. We all turn around. There's about 12 of us in the room, and we're just on her like, well, are you okay? Are you okay? Teacher comes up right away and just says, back up, everybody, sit down, let's meditate for her and bring this space for her to heal. And I witnessed this beautiful healing ceremony in like 20 minutes. This yoga class went from just yoga, like everybody stretching, to this amazing healing transformation for this woman. And I was like, wow, this is powerful. So, that trauma, that energy gets stuck in our nadis, right? Those places in our body that you don't even think about, that are non-physical. And then just doing that pose released that. And I just witnessed this huge transformation that I will never forget. And I'm so thankful for seeing that, because it happened to her when she least expected it, right? She had no idea that was going to happen in the yoga class that day. And yet she left that class a completely different person.
That's beautiful. I've been blessed to see a couple experiences like that as well. Not only on the mat, but through Shiva Stamba yoga, which is the yoga on the pole, and then Kundalini Raju, which is the yoga on the rope. My wife Nithyananda was teaching a Kundalini rope class, and same thing. A woman gets inverted and just has to come down immediately and just completely opens up for an extended period of time as well. And seen that on numerous occasions with various different programs that we are part of. And it is such a powerful process. And yeah, if you don't go through that naturally, I could only imagine the type of, traumatic experience that might be for somebody. If they did take, psychedelics or some other externals that made that happen. And so beautiful sharing. Yeah. And if somebody is out there and they wanted to start on their spiritual journey, what would you maybe suggest to them based off of your experience and looking back, maybe whether it's books, certain meditation techniques, what would you recommend?
I would first recommend just with your diet, because that's really where you got to start. I think we all want these powers, these CDs, these higher consciousness, and it just comes down to simply your physical form and what you can handle. So we all have to start where we're at. And I was very toxic in the beginning of my spiritual journey. And, even to this day, the more I continue to cleanse and do the smoothies and do the work that I'm doing, I'm getting even more energy, more clarity, more confidence. So that's where I would start. Number one is just cleaning up your diet. We are all a victim, to the processed world, the GMO world that's out there. So educating yourself on that, starting it with just clean water, working your way up, getting rid of the processed food, rid of the toxins, start really purifying yourself, getting in this sattvic diet, understanding what alkalinity means, how to really purify yourself on the cellular level. Then everything else that we talk about with yoga, the asanas, the meditation, all of that becomes a lot easier, because then the physical form can handle this energy. So that's really where I want people to start, because again, everything becomes so much easier. And then we can talk about mantras and affirmations and beautiful techniques that will purify your consciousness once the cells are adapted in an environment to handle. So that's really where I want people to start. And for more information, just continue wherever you're at, right? Like, don't jump into this big juice thing or liquid diet or something. Just start wherever you're at. One little smoothie a day adds up really quick. And before you know it, you're having that energy, you're having that reality, shift that you want. And you're actually being the person that you really want to be in life.
Yeah, it's beautifully said. And one thing I would add on is just questioning like everything around you, questioning even those that you're learning from, questioning life in general. When you start questioning reality and start seeking the truth, and you start developing that cognitive thread within you that you're seeking truth, that in itself will guide you towards wherever it is your path is. And so I think 100% though, starting with your diet, if you're eating meat right now still, the first thing that you need to do, I tell people, is you need to stop eating meat. It's like, that's a whole nother topic, but
and see, they prescribe that for ayahuasca ceremonies. See, that's what I'm saying. It's all the same thing. We can circle back to all of this. Like, if you were to go to a legit shaman in South America right now and to do the ceremony, they would say, hey, you need to take 2 weeks to do this cleanse first. And a part of that is no diet, is no meat, right? That shaman diet I do every day. Every day is my normal life for like over 10 years now. So I'm just telling people, like I said, if you want to experience this higher consciousness, you can start taking those steps right now. And it doesn't have to happen in this download, one-time experience. It could be your daily life. And I love what you said too, because I just think of the word contemplation, right? I think that's a big misconception with meditation. People think it's about emptiness and like no thinking and yada yada. It's exactly the opposite. You are expanding your mind even more. You are going beyond your thoughts and contemplating things that you didn't think was possible in your thoughts. So I catch myself in those contemplation moments all the time, and it's not me like being nowhere or being foggy or anything. Like, no, I'm thinking about things and contemplating things on a level that is allowing me to manifest in my life. And I don't think people are in that contemplation mode enough in their daily practice. So thank you for bringing that up, because I completely agree with that.
Beautiful. So I'm really not sure how much time we have left here.
It's okay. If it cuts off automatically, that's cool too.
Yeah. Got a last minute tech problem here, but before we went on hitting the recording button. So we're on a limited Zoom session right now for all those that don't know. And you know, I'm sure we'll have a trifecta. This conversation could just continue going on, and we can take this in a lot of different directions. So,
Yeah.
I would say, just out of the sake of, I'm not sure how much time is left, let's end this here, and then
Okay.
maybe we can gather together again, another session, another chat later on down the line. So if people want to connect with you, reach out to you, work with you, like how can they do that?
The Infinite Cup, it's all there. Theinfinitecup.com is easy. YouTube, Instagram, it's all there. The Infinite Cup, one word, all lowercase, really easy. You'll find me anywhere. Just type in The Infinite Cup.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Robert. Appreciate you
Mm-hmm.
coming on to the Blissful Athlete channel as well. Always
Yeah.
great connecting with you, and looking forward to seeing you in person as well. Everybody that's new to this channel, consider subscribing, hit the bell icon for future videos. And yeah, we'll see you guys on next videos, but leave a comment down below. Are you considering taking ayahuasca? Have you taken it? What was your experience? Would you agree with what Robert is saying and what I'm saying? Would actually love to hear your feedback on that as well. So everybody that's tuned in, thank you so much. And we'll see you guys in future videos.
All right. Namaste.
Blissful.